So, what's up? So I'm in my room. I don't know, the sound quality is probably going to be terrible, and I got a really good microphone, but I'm not going to use it. So, I've given my lead a couple times this week, and I do this stuff for me, right? Because I don't always see my growth, right? I hear about it. Other people say they see it in me. But I kind of like to go back and remember where I was at. And this is a way of doing it, right? It's like a video diary, kind of. And I do a lot of writing. I do a lot of diary stuff. I have 7 or 8 or more journals over there right now, plus my nightly inventory and all that other stuff, right? So I haven't got time to spend on here kind of since I did my first one, which I was over at Freedom. I was down at the Christopher House, which is a treatment facility, right? I was inpatient. And this is more outpatient here. I'm no longer in IOP, PHP, or aftercare for that matter. I've kind of moved on. So some housekeeping. I'm Donald Jones. I'm an alcoholic and an addict. But everybody calls me DJ. I have a sponsor, as a sponsor, right? And I also had a sponsor. And through a series of events, I felt the need to move on. When I was at the Christopher House, I had a temporary sponsor, right? So I am trying to do the things that work. And for me, sometimes I have to reevaluate my need. My sobriety is my responsibility. This is my journey. No one else is responsible for that. No one else is going to keep me sober. No one else is going to keep me trying to do the next best thing. No one else is in my head. I'm in my head. And if I want to do better, be better, and grow as a human being, and be able to serve my higher power, which I call God, better, and be of service to other people, I first have to get right with myself. And that's been a growing experience, right? I wasn't always there. I'm a year and 25 days sober at this current time when I'm making this video, which is June 1st of 2025. I try to always do what I'm asked today. This program has done nothing less than give me my life back and save my life. Yes, I'm an addict. Yes, fentanyl is part of my story. But alcohol is also part of my story. And alcohol is more dangerous. Alcohol sneaks up on you. You get comfortable with it. You use it for an extended period of time. You get wet brain, or you lose the ability to think rationally. And then it lets you die. It doesn't care. Alcohol has been something that was normalized from a young age. And I feel like that normalization, I say that I had stints of sobriety. And those stints of sobriety was always drinking and using Suboxone illegally or other things, right, to keep me sober, right? And MATs being a part of my story, I am not a doctor, nor do I claim to be. I do know I used them illegally. It created huge bouts of codependency within my life. But in the end, after my last stint in jail, I got out. I knew I wasn't going to be able to do this on my own. Now, I didn't have a connection with higher power. I knew God existed. I don't know what that looked like at that point, but I know I was in a situation where I was either going to run or I was going to run for help. I ran for help, and MATs were a part of that help. It allowed me to get my feet under me long enough to be able to understand and grasp the fact that I needed to be real sober, not DJ sober, or else this wasn't going to work. And that was huge for me, right? So, and I don't know if this is real or just what I've told myself in my brain, but this weird series of events happened that got me here. Part of that was I was coming to treatment for 30 days. I don't know if that was real or if I just made that up, but I got here. I got out of jail. I ran for recovery, right? I got on MATs. I got to the Christopher House. I started to see the path that I was on was not one that was going to keep me here. I had to do some things that really hurt. I had to get rid of a long-term relationship. I had to come to terms with the fact that I let something in my life down so badly that it created a long bout of depression within me, and that was a job, right? I had let that job down. I'd let that company down, and that hurt. I did what I knew to do, and it wasn't the right thing. So I got on MATs, and during my 30 days in the Christopher House, right, in recovery, 30 days in recovery, once I got there, it was 60, and then it was 18 months for the full journey. I did not have to be convinced of that very hard. I pretty much was like accepted that right off the rip. Like, you know, like I had came from up here at this great company I worked for, doing wonderful house, cars, boats, everything, to down here to homeless, struggling just to stay high, so that I didn't have to face the fact that I fell from there to here. I also, that was how I first, like my mind was so simple. All I knew is I had to get off these MATs, right? And what that meant for me was that was who I went after. When I looked for somebody that had what I wanted, they had a great connection to AA. They were on a spiritual journey, and MATs were a part of their story, but was no longer a part of it. And I worked the steps. I did all that stuff, right? And through doing that and working with this person, I was able to put MATs in my past. So I had a fabulous doctor who really listened to me. And when I said I wanted off of MATs, we came up with a plan, right? Like, and that is hugely important. I knew 6 months was probably going to be the tops. And I'm not really sure. It was around 2 or 3 months in. We talked about it, lined up the plan, right? And I had to stay willing that if this was not going to work, I was going to go back. Because I also know, if nothing else, if MATs were the story for the rest of my life, at least I would be alive. And I knew that had to be an option. But my want and desire, willingness, open-mindedness, all this stuff, right, had to be lined up in a certain order in order for me to get those results. And I had to let go and let God. And once I understood what that meant, is not DJ's will, right? I had to just trust in the process. And when I trusted in that process, it didn't let me down. I call a lot of that God, right? That is God to me. That is my God moment. And this program does something that is amazing. You get to have a God of your understanding. So coming in to this situation, the God I knew was not the God I wanted anything to do with. And it was my conception of God. It was me. I had a wrong conception of God, right? And once I was able to understand a God of my understanding, and what that meant to me was beautiful, beautiful. and it got me back to God, right? So again, like the God of my understanding was something that allowed me to get back in good graces with God, because the God I knew wouldn't have let me do that. The God that my delusional mind had accepted as reality wouldn't let me get back there. And that's a huge part of it too, right? So this God of my understanding, my willingness and need and understanding that what I was doing wouldn't work, got me to a place where I am 100% sober today, and I have been for a while now. I got a long ways to go. This is an everyday journey, and if I ever think I have it, the words are the problem. I don't have it. God working through me will help me, lead me to the right path, right? So, I can twist that all kinds of different ways and do all kinds of weird shit, right? But entirely to let go and let God, to wake up in prayer, to wake up, and as soon as that first snap in my brain works, I have to say, God, get in my head before I do. I have to. I heard that on Warpath Ministries or something. I'm not really sure where I heard that along the way, or maybe it was in a room, maybe it's, I don't know. But that clicked, man. And I know, like, as you get further on and stuff, or even some, if you're there now, like, you can wake up in absolute prayer, right? Bam, wake up as soon as your brain snaps. You're like praying, right? Well, I can't. I have to ask God to get in my head before I do. And that's important for me. And then I can get my feet underneath me, do a little prayer, read some morning motivations. I have several of. Go for a walk in the park and pray. And then I come back here and I sit and I wait for an answer, right? It's meditation, whatever you want to call it, right? I'll do my breathing exercises. I do this and that, right? And wait for that response. And a lot of times, you know, like, I know, like, my nightly inventories can lead to a plan for the next day. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes I get so stuck in my nightly inventories I fall asleep. But I will always wake up with an answer of some sort. And sometimes no answer is an answer. And when I get the no answer, I just have to pray again. And work on it the next day, and work on it the next night. And months go by. And then I'll get an answer. And my biggest thing was my job, right? So I was worried. And I was worried in the beginning because I thought a job would be a trigger and take me out. Inside me, I was worried of letting somebody else down. I was worried about the fact that I wouldn't be able to hold it together long enough to have a job. And through constant prayer, vigilant prayer, and the help of some amazing people, something opened up. I got a job at in Xenius, the Hope Spot. We work. It's a Many Pathways organization, and we work to help reintroduce people into society, help get them their feet underneath them, help them with whatever they need, birth certificates, posting for jobs, resumes, peer support. I don't personally do that, but we offer that there. It is a recovery-based organization, and it's huge. And all the people there are amazing. People that work there, the people on the board, the director, the people that walk through the door. I learned so much from all of them. And I have to, like, I am blessed with that. I'm blessed to work in that. But that doesn't always keep me sober. It does sometimes, like, especially when I get to meetings that, you know, I'm not there working, you know, like if I can get to meetings after hours, or like, I went to see a good friend get their coin last night, and that was powerful for me. And you know, that was like just like maybe a minute, not even that long. And, but it meant something to me, right? when I see other people doing this stuff, I sponsor 2 guys. I more than that, but I have 2 guys into the steps right now, and it's fire. I mean, like I watch and see growth, and then like there's growth within me happening at the same time, and there is so much God in the room when that stuff is happening. It's so beautiful, and I can't help but be inspired by that. Those are God moments for real. They're just like this. These people are getting it. It's getting it. It is a spiritual revolution that I don't think people understand thoroughly. This is elevating humanity to be better and do better, one person at a time, through God. And it's always God, right? It's always, like, if I think it's anything to do with me, I am quickly reminded that it's God. And that is just, I mean, I get to work in the field. It supports my recovery. If I have to leave, I can leave. If I have to hit a meeting, I can hit a meeting. And it just facilitates growth and is very, very understanding work environment. I do this thing where I'm a brand ambassador for Demons Behind Me. That is, I'm not really sure how that all came about. But it is just, inspirational clothing is important. I think some people call it merch. I think that's great. But like having that, being able to wear the message, share the message, and give other people the opportunity to do the same. Like, you know, you link to my stuff, you get 15% off. And like, I get to share that with people, right? And they get to share their story, right? So they wear the clothes that says the message. People ask about it, and they get to share their message, their story. And their stories are all inspiring. And it is beautiful. It is absolutely beautiful. And I thank the guys there. Like, being a part of Demons Behind Me is such an amazing thing that I get to share with others and see their excitement and growth and see them to become God reliant. Or at least grow in that direction, right? I don't think, like, we're human, right? Progress, not perfection. We will get there at some point. But I don't know when that is. I don't even really care. Maybe we'll never get there. Doesn't matter to me. It's continuous growth. I think in my old job, we used to call that continuous improvement, right? Acronyms are a part of my world, always have been. But I think continuous improvement is the key, right? Because, you know, that's where stagnation comes from. That's where complacency comes from, is not working to grow daily. So I got the Demons Behind Me thing. I got the Hope Spot. I sponsor other guys. I watch people around me grow. Oh, and it's so beautiful. And, you know, the Facebook thing has been huge. Like, it really has. So, like, part of the Demons Behind Me thing, and even the Hope Spot thing, is sharing information and changing my algorithm on Facebook. I don't do the weird stuff I used to do. I share my God moments. I share inspiration. I share experience, strength, and hope. I share God on there. You know, it's about changing my algorithm, right? Changing how the world defines me. There was this great saying back in the 90s, I used to love it. Throughout life, you will always be labeled, but only you can choose the labels you wear, right? And that's so huge. So people will always label you, but you can do your best to portray a more godly, positive image of yourself, right? And that's always hard, and it's going to be hard. And that's what, you know, I said the other day in my lead, and I don't even remember, of course it wasn't me, it was God, but I want to live a life that is shadowed by the work I do for God. And that's true. Like that's really how I live. Like my room is my room. I hang out here a little bit, mainly out doing stuff. Sunday, chill day, right? But even in this room, when it's just me and DJ, those thoughts are shifted towards the thoughts of others and the thoughts of God, right? And even when I do my nightly inventory and stuff, I have to step back into like, was I wrong? If I was, where was my part? How can I do better? What will I do next time? And how can I take steps to become the person that I would want to be? And that is a better person, more service to God and others. So, and you know, that's part of it. And sometimes you can get off track, and it's amazing. Like, it's that, right? Bam. Thought bad. Russell Brand says, I'd be sitting driving down in the hillbilly Riviera or whatever it is, and redneck Riviera, and his truck, just thinking about this and that, and Bear Grylls and this and that, and he'll get a thought, and it'll just come across like, oh, well, you know, Tony Robbins. And it's almost like satanic, right? It's like, oh, you feel dirty and it's evil. And you just like, I instantly will break out into prayer now. And so a lot of times that'll get me out of it. I have several prayers I say, but I do know, like, and I have a little history with the Bible, and I love the Bible, right? But it's always about thanks, right? In the Bible, it tells us we go to God in thanksgiving. Right, and that's huge in Thanksgiving. So I always, like, before my lead, like, this was God in real time. I had to do 2 leads last week, and it's something you do to get back to AA. You tell your story, right? So I go to do these leads, right, and all day I'm thinking, I don't even want to do this. This is terrible. I don't even want to do this. This is going to trigger me. This is going to be awful. Blah. You know, just get in my head, right? So when it would start getting like that, I would thank God for the opportunity to share my story. Thank God for putting me here. Thank God for allowing me to live another day. Thank you, God, for giving me the opportunity to give back. And I always end every prayer with, this I pray to the Lord, creator of all things, and his only begotten Son, Jesus Christ. Amen. And I say that, like, sometimes it won't even be a prayer. I'll just be walking around, and I'll go through some thoughts, and I'll just be like, where am I at? What am I doing? Thank you, Lord, creator of all things, and your only begotten Son, Jesus Christ. Amen. And I'll make it a prayer, right? And you see how fast it was? Bam. And, like, it blows my mind that throughout my life, I have not ever done that. Never prayed. Unless it was over the wrong things. But that's a whole nother story, you know. And, you know, the Facebook thing, that's part of where I'm at today. Warpath Ministries, SOS Ministries here in Xenia. And I'm a part of a lot of groups on there that are trying to twist the reality, twist the algorithm, and turn it into something positive. Turn it into God. Turn it into being the right things, and to enforce, encourage, and give thanks to those that are doing it. And Warpath Ministries is huge. There's several people on there I watch regularly, and that helps fill my heart with joy. And I love all of that. So that is where I'm at today. I'm not going to talk about what got me here. If you want to know why I'm here, or do I belong here, am I an alcoholic? I can't remember when I started drinking because it was so normalized in my life. It started before I can remember. And I think I said I was sober, drinking and doing Suboxone. That was sobriety to me. And that's been my whole life. I'm 50 years old, 51. And I'm blessed today. You know, at one point I thought without Suboxone or without a beer, I couldn't even stand up. My legs are shot. They're terrible. I can't do it. well, I don't have a license. I skateboard to work every day, completely stoned sober. And I have no problems with it. I walk around the park. I do 10 laps in Shawnee Park every morning. And pick up trash and stuff. And you know, try to, even when I'm walking. I'm a smoker too. When I'm walking and I get done smoking a cigarette, part of that intent, do I flick it on the ground because no one's looking? God's always looking. No. Do I knock the cherry off, put it in my pocket, and throw it away when I get somewhere? Yeah, that's what I do. When I'm walking around and I see trash on the ground, do I walk by it and no one's there watching me? No. I stop and pick it up because there is someone watching me. Always, and God is always watching. I'm so blessed and just be able to do this stuff, and I'm so honored to be here, and I'm so grateful, and I'm so thankful the Lord decided to wake me up another day. I almost didn't do this video. I was going to lay down and take a nap. But I was like, nah, you know, I'm a year. I wanted to do this at a year. I'm a little past a year now. And I think that watching somebody get that their 9-month token last night was really inspirational to me. And it really made me, like, you know, took me back to when I was 9 months. You know, like, it's beautiful. And I can't wait until I see somebody else get their token, because I know it's going to happen. It happens all the time. And to have someone close to me get a token, and to have someone I care about get one, you know. And it doesn't matter if it's 24 hours or 24 years. I don't care. I love the people I have in my life today, and I love them more than I've ever loved anyone in my life. And that's real. And I love you all. I'll upload this to YouTube and we'll see what happens. I don't even know. I know I got this cool new tripod and ring light and all this fancy stuff, right? But it doesn't change who I am. It may change the perspective, and there's no cool effects, or I don't have anything like that, right? And I really don't even like the tripod and the ring light, because I think, you know, I like when I'm walking around with the camera and it's more genuine and raw and real, and that's who I am. But for like kind of a video journal type of thing, I think this is better. And for uploading to YouTube. So, anywho, I love you all. I hope you have a blessed day. Continue to try to do the next right thing. This is a continuous program for those that work it. Life is continuous. We have to try to do better and be better. With that, I love you all. Peace out.